Hello and welcome to Nirmal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Daria. We have with us Kunal, Shah, Head Commodities Research, joining in. Kunal, a very good afternoon. My first question coming to you again is with regards to what's happening with where crude is concerned. Now, overall, what's the sense that you're picking up from here on? I know you've been clearly indicating as to what should be done, but from today onwards, if you have to look at crude, what should the strategy be? Because overall, again, on the lockdown situation, you have countries which are rethinking of another lockdown. With regards to where COVID is concerned, the cases, the second wave is coming in a lot of places as well. So with all of this, what would your recommendation be as to how someone needs to play around with crude?
Yeah, the sentiments again have turned bearish, and there has been a wave of risk aversion today in the markets, equity markets, mainly on account of today the Chinese vice premier have stated that there is a possibility of another strong wave of COVID in Beijing. So Shanghai and Beijing are like Mumbai and Delhi for China. So if something happens over there, it is a big problem. So we've already seen on account of that, all the industrial commodity, including crude oil, is under pressure. And I think this pressure is likely to continue going forward. And during the day also, we are going to see further downside in prices of crude oil. Main reason is now if there is another strong wave of COVID-19 and if that is happening, then I think the growth is definitely going to take a very serious hit. So even if there is no lockdown, but what happens is that when you know that there is a second wave of virus which is going on, you will still try to sit at your home, and the people who can avoid it, they will still not go to offices. So I think the economic activity is definitely going to be affected. So right now, the markets are, on one side, there is so much money which is there in the system that can trigger upside in everything, all asset class. And on other side, there's another wave of coronavirus. So we discussed on Friday, there was the second wave in Florida, California, Texas. Now today, China is saying, Japan is saying, today morning, these two countries have clearly mentioned, Japan also witnessed surge in cases. China also witnessed surge in the cases, and China, in Beijing, they closed down certain markets. So
Correct.
this fear is far greater than the actual reality, and that can lead to the panic selling can remain throughout the day. And I see crude oil still going down and edging towards 25-50 kind of levels on MCX. So my recommendation is to remain on a short side, sell the spikes, and I don't think so oil can sustain for the day, and trend remains bearish.
Right. And overall, with regards to where gold goes, what's the sense now you're picking up in terms of where gold is concerned? Because clearly, if you see in today's session as well, it's a second consecutive session where we've seen a fall in terms of where gold goes. Silver as well has been slightly seeing some bit of pressure. And year to date, if you go to see, gold is up almost around 20% versus a 25% gain, Kunal, that we'd seen last year during the same time period. So if you have to compare this kind of a move, what's the sense that you have in terms of gold?
So first of all, silver is going down, and especially remaining under pressure from last week is because of the correction in base metals. So you've seen after hitting 450 rupees, copper prices are almost trading at 436 today. And you've seen zinc also, from 67, 68 has come down to 57. Most of the industrial metals have cooled down, and that is the reason why silver prices also have declined so much. So I believe what is happening here is, in gold, fundamentals are definitely bullish. But now, if there are again, like on Thursday, we saw 1,800 points of fall in Dow Jones, and today it was, I think, down by 600 points right now. And at morning, at one point, it was down by 1,000 points. So if this fall continues very sharply, then the margin call comes, and when the margin call comes, gold prices tends to go down in that scenario. So my take for the evening session is, looking at the way the dollar index have weakened, my take is that you can go long for the upside of 47,300 to maximum 47,400, not above that. And from there you can perhaps look to go short. But right now, at this level, current level, during the evening meeting session, I will recommend to still go for a buy and expecting prices to move up by 300 to 400 rupees during evening session. And the trend definitely seems to be bullish, but at the same time, like I said, that if equity market goes down, so when the first wave of COVID-19 crisis stuck, at that time gold prices crashed from 43, 44,000 to 40,000, and
Hmm.
then from 40,000 it rose to 48,000. So I'm not expecting that kind of correction, but there can be margin calls and that can lead to some profit taking. So evening session, I will recommend to go buy 47 300 350, book your profits, and perhaps from 47 400 you can go start to go short.
Right. Overall, if you go to see, apart from these, if you have to look at agri commodities as well, Kunal, the monsoon progress is something which is really critical right now in the coming weeks. Do you think, and usually when we see history, the progress towards central and northwest of India is something which has always been erratic. So, taking this volatility into consideration, do you think the agri commodities market is also something which is going to remain volatile, but there is a possibility of an upward bias on that front?
Uh, if the so I read the couple of monsoon reports, and I do used to track the weather very regularly. So my understanding is that the likelihood of monsoon being above normal or normal is very high. So we are going to see a good rainfall throughout the country, and there is very less chance of a drought kind of scenario. So this is the season where generally all the agriculture commodity, they tend to go lower, because if the monsoon is better, then the next crop which is going to come, that is going to be bumper crop, and if that is the case, then prices should not edge higher. So the commodities basically which are export oriented, so like for example guar seed, guar gum, these are the commodity which are basically exported, or so all that commodity are definitely going to face selling pressure, because on one hand the sowing is already begun, and other hand the export demand is sluggish. So I think these are the commodities, there is a bearish list for me like soybean. In India also I'm expecting this year the good rainfall, so the soybean sowing also will be much stronger than expected, and that would lead to August contract, somewhere 3600 to 3550 you can see August contract of soybean. Guar seed, 3600 you can go short, and 3500 are the levels, you can eye in a 1 or 2 days. So most of the agriculture commodities are likely to witness some selling pressure.
Right. And what's the sense that you have right now with regards to where, base metals are concerned? Because overall, if you see in terms of most industrial metals, today's session we've seen a fall, and that's mainly on the back of the potential second wave of coronavirus that could be coming in China, which could probably dampen demand. So, do you think this is the opportunity to, short base metals?
Yeah, so on Friday we have recommended oil and metal short, and today also my view is same. We can see copper may go down and test levels of 433 to 434. Zinc for the same reason 155, and I'm expecting this selling to continue going forward. But it is when somebody asks me, I get a lot of calls, these days, that sir, what are the fundamentals of copper? I really want to know the fundamentals of copper. So
Mhm.
fundamental of all commodities are weak, because lockdowns are not positive for any commodity. But what happens is that there is so much money floating around that, so as per the fundamentals, if copper prices should decline to 400 rupees, it will not go down to 400 rupees, it will just go down to 420 rupees.
Mhm.
So in normal scenario, if there was so much, if there was the liquidity was not so robust, then I would have given a exorbitant target that copper will test 410, 405. But I'm not giving that, because there is on one side the worsening fundamental, on other side so much money. So when we are taking a call or we are recommending our clients, we should know that we cannot just act as per the fundamentals or as per the technicals. We have to also factor in the liquidity which is there in the system. So that's why I'm not very bearish, but at the same time I'm expecting it to test 433, 432 on MCX for evening session.
Right. In fact, if anyone has any queries as well with Kunal right now, we're open for them. You can send in your queries and we will wait for anyone, for Kunal to answer your queries. But till any questions come in, Kunal, what's the update with regards to where the NCDX AgriDex fund is concerned? How is the performance that you're tracking right now on that front?
Yeah, performance is very muted. The liquidity is still very low early days. So we are not aggressively giving calls in that. So we are just waiting for the better liquidity to participate in that and recommend our clients. So nothing great as far as the volume side is concerned. But I think post this monsoon season, it should pick up.
Okay. And with regards to where, if you remember, we were talking about a couple of weather derivatives as well, the rainfall and monsoon derivatives. Anything on that front that you're looking at?
We will do the webinar for that. So part of our system, they'll come to know what are basically weather derivatives. So we are in talks with NCDX executive. So before they launch, prior to that, 1 week or 10 days prior to that, we will do the webinar.
Right. I don't think so, Kunal. There are any queries that are coming in for today. So thank you so much for joining us. We will come back to you as well with further updates as well. Thank you so much.